Hey, good morning and welcome. My name is Matt Hall. I'm the co-founder of ShowUp. I'm so glad you're here, and I'm really glad to be here. We've got a really powerful ecosystem in this room today that doesn't often have an opportunity to be together in the same place. In the room and on stage, we're artists. We are music industry folks supporting those artists. We're movement leaders. We're activists. We're legislators. And one of the things that we do at ShowUp is help to define this ecosystem and to create opportunities to bring the ecosystem together so we can learn how to support each other. How can we learn from artists who are doing this difficult work? How can the music industry support the artists who are involved in speaking out bravely for the things that matter to them? How can the organizations who are benefiting from this support learn how better to support the artists and vice versa? How can we bring our work to bear on the activists who are on the streets and on the steps of the State House and in the State House? And what do we need to know from our legislators who are representing us about the work that they're doing, and how can artists who are interested in being a part of that process plug in to that system? This is what we're at work to do here today. I'm so glad you're all here. We've worked for many, many months to pull this together, and it's been a great team that has supported me, and I would like to thank that team. I would like to thank my ShowUp team, Maria Hironis, the Bittersweet folks, some of our advisors who are in the room. I would like to thank the artists and speakers who will be with us on stage today. All who are here doing so have waived fees, regular fees for that, which means a lot. And I'd like to thank the sponsors who have helped us with financial support to make this possible. You'll see them up here at some point, but those sponsors include The Orchard, ADA, Warner Nashville, and Cobuzz. And I'd like to make a note about that, which is these music companies who are making our work today possible with financial dollars, while they may be in the room with us here, they won't be on stage. And the reason for that is not because they don't have, they wouldn't bring value to our conversations, but it's because they haven't made their participation with us contingent on platforming their executives. What does that mean to me? And what might it mean to you is that these companies actually lead with their values. So I think we're all in the right place. I hope so. Our intention and hope is to learn a little bit from the people that are doing this work, the artists, the activists, the industry, find a space in it for all of us. And I'm excited to get to work. And I thank you again for being here. And one last thank you is to my wife, Mashad, and my daughter, Ruby. So we're going to start today with the center of our ecosystem, and we're going to talk with a great group of artists who have been doing their own work here, and it hopefully will give us a better sense of why we're here and where we might go. So I'd like to invite to the stage Cassadee Pope, Morgan, Lachi, and Julie Williams. All right. So we're here to support the work of artists doing your own work. And we talk to artists every day about the challenges and particular work that comes with speaking out for the things that matter to you. We all know, everyone in the room knows that that this work requires some degree of bravery, some degree of personal risk, certainly decisions that need to be made. But when we're talking with artists, there's an entirely separate set of considerations that these folks need to make when they are in the decision-making process about why they're supporting, what they're supporting, who they're supporting. And I'd love to talk with you guys first about some of those challenges. We find that some artists might feel like they're not educated enough to do the work, or are fearful of blowback, or maybe are not a part of the community or identity group that they'd like to support. A lot of inhibitors that are barriers to entry. And so we'll make some personal introductions. As you guys know, I'm Matt Hall. I'm a co-founder of ShowUp. I'm from Brooklyn, New York, and I'm a tall white person with curly hair and glasses. Julie, would you mind?
Hey everyone, my name is Julie Williams. I'm originally from Florida. I am a country Americana artist, member of CMT Next Women, a Black Opry artist, and I am a mixed 5'3" girl with curly pigtails.
Right.
Hi everyone, my name is Morgan, and I am a singer-songwriter who lives here in Nashville, and I am actually, I was gonna say blessed, but then I'm like, I'm not sure. Jury's still out. I am from Nashville, a third generation person who's seen this mess here and grew up in it. I am a white guy with glasses who is gay.
Are you sure?
I think I am all of those things.
Hi, my name is Lachi, she, her. I'm a Black woman with cornrows. I identify as blind. I'm a recording artist and a songwriter. I'm from New York, the best city in the world. Sorry, guys. And I'm also a public speaker and a touring performer, and I'm showing up here for disability, culture, and inclusion research.
Yes. I'm Cassadee Pope. I'm a singer-songwriter. My pronouns are she, her. I live here in Nashville, but I am from West Palm Beach, Florida, and I'm 5'5". My hair is usually pink, but it washes out, so sometimes it's blonde, and I'm white.
Right on. All right. So speaking to some of the challenges and considerations that you might go through, Lachi, do you want to share a bit of what your decision-making process looks like and how you come to the work?
Yeah, I totally really resonate with your question of, the idea of jumping into the work, and there are some difficulties of, maybe I'm not part of the identity, or maybe I don't actually know the folks I'm trying to help or support, or that community, or maybe my fans won't like it, or maybe it'll hurt my career in some way because people may think I'm non-competitive, or they're thinking I should be making music and not making noise. But at the end of the day, I believe it is important for artistry and advocacy to sort of meld, because historically that has been the place for art in our world. Yes, it has been for folks to feel better and learn and understand different cultures, but it has historically been how we advocate, how we say the things that are difficult to say. If we're not able to lobby, we create the art. So for me personally, one of the first things I found as I navigated the music industry as a person with a disability, I was afraid to talk about it, even though I wasn't asking for accommodations because I was afraid that people might think I'm weird or not want to work with me. It was hindering me. And so I knew that I had to come out and speak about it. And it started with me understanding my community and going up to my community, learning who has disabilities in the industry, and sitting down, shutting up, and listening. And they would impart their wisdom onto me, their wins and their woes. And as it became my story too, it only naturally came out in my art and in my music. And as that continued to grow, so did the ability to be able to step out of just creating art and recognizing that the advocacy is all just part of who I am. And I think the last thing I'll say, too, as artists, is that the artist, at least today, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that the artist now is the art, right? It's not just the music, but it's who you are on social media, how you represent, how you wake up, and how you show up. And so activism just is part of who you are authentically, just trying to represent yourself.
I love that. Can I add to that?
Yes, please.
I think that we've crossed a threshold where I don't think that there's a world in which you can't speak up for something that you believe in, and yeah, you should applaud that,
Yes.
I guess. I mean, I don't know everyone in this room, but I'm going to assume that if you came to this room, it's because you have some part in you that cares. But there's this thing that when I'm speaking to, we're artists up here, but the way that I view it, we're all artists. I see people who are artists and creators in this room. I think that if you have an Instagram, you have a platform. There's no, people are like, I don't have that many followers. Stop thinking in terms of followers or not. Just share what needs to be shared. I sort of feel like we're at a point where I love what you said, that art is in that place where it's speaking to the injustice and it's speaking to that, but you can get this sort of don't you want to just, I think of the comments when people are like, just sing your song. Well, sing my song, pretend rainbow, carry the weight, my revival, my art is my voice. I'm going to push back against you with the music that I make. That's the whole point.
I want to say too, when Matt, you asked me to do this panel, initially my reaction was do people really want to see a straight white woman talking about how hard it is to be an activist? I was a little I don't know if that's a good thing, but the way that this is framed is so important, because I do think a lot of people in our position don't speak out because they're afraid, and that's fair. But and I'm just literally amplifying what you said, the root of it is you're speaking out and you're in support of something that matters, and you're standing up for what's right. So that's the core of what people just need to remember. That's why we're doing it. All of the other stuff, to me, I know it's our livelihood. I know it's how we pay our bills and it makes us happy. It's our passion, but it's at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. I think it matters when we build a platform and we use it for something like this. That feels like it has more purpose. I love touching people with my music. I think it's so beautiful when I can help people through a breakup or whatever the case may be. But when I'm able to show up fully as my complete self as an artist, musically, and my fundamental values, I personally have felt more fulfilled, even with the pushback, even with people jumping ship and being like, I don't like that you're speaking out. I'm out of here. Because at the end of the day, your fan base and the people who are coming to your shows are the people you're going to be confronted with and you're going to meet and you're going to see every night on tour. And if you don't feel comfortable with those people, or you feel like they don't quite get you, or they think you stand for something that you don't, that's a awkward place to be. And it's very powerful to just show up at your shows and be you, and know that the people in the crowd know you and they agree, and they're going to support you in the things that you say, and you support them. So it's this beautiful exchange people don't think about when they're like, I'm afraid it's going to negatively impact my career. There's so many more pros than cons,
Yeah.
I think with that in mind too, all of this, especially living in a state like Tennessee, it is so connected. Issues on gun violence, queer issues are also connected in, are artists safe to live in a place? Are your fans safe to come to a show? And part of your obligation as an artist is you want your fans to have a great time. You want them to be having fun or comfortable. And most importantly, you want them to be safe and you want yourself to be safe. So I always encourage people that it is more than, it is also your job for that. Because I think if we just think of music as a silo and forget about the society around, you aren't going to be able to have a career because people aren't going to be safe and comfortable to be themselves and to be safe at your shows and in your presence. So I always like to encourage artists that, might be afraid because they're like, I don't see how, like you were mentioning there of like, sometimes you have music that is directly aligned with what you're speaking about. You might have a song about your queer identity or about racial identity, but some artists do not and have about their life and their family and love, and that is okay too. But I think that doesn't mean that you can't also support those other causes, because it really is integral to your life and your fans' lives as well too. So
yeah. So, to that point, and to the broader point, we're talking about how important this work is to your individual identities as an artist and even outside of that. Deeply personal, difficult, not something to be done easily and without support. Julie, can you speak a little bit about what kind of support you have from your team that you work with as an artist, and what that looks like?
Yeah, it's interesting because I'm an independent artist. I have a very, very small team, but I've been very lucky in this city to meet incredible people and organizations that have uplifted and supported me. The first one of that was the Black Opry, which is a collective of Black artists who do country music. Yeah, go Black Opry. Before I met Holly and Tanner, I didn't know if I had a place here in Nashville. And from there, I began to meet a community of artists that were like me. And I can't tell you how life-changing that was. To go to shows, even if the shows at the beginning had like 10 people there, they felt more important to me. And I felt more excited and hopeful about my career than shows that had 200 people that were all white people at the shows. So that was kind of one of those first organizations that then changed something for me. But then I've also been really, really fortunate to be connected with the folks at CMT through the CMT Next Women and their Equal Access program. And the folks at the Change Agency here, they helped me launch this initiative this spring to visit college campuses and talk about sexual harassment in the music industry with college students who are studying music and music business to try to, empower the next generation of change makers in this industry as we explain to them, oh, this is what a PRO is, this is, these are promoters, and having them understand that side of the music industry. It's also let's talk about what it really is like to be a touring musician as a woman, as a person of color, and that wouldn't have happened without their support and them giving their time to me pro bono. I think part of that, is folks who have put their money where their mouth is, and I think something that is really it always works the best when you lift up, when you throw gasoline in a fire that's already being lit. Who are the people in the community that already have something to say, that really want something to say, but need somebody to invest in them? I think that's when you really can find some of the most authentic change, rather than saying, okay, how as an organization, we want to work on this issue, we have to reinvent the wheel. It's like, no, there's some incredible activists that are in our community that we can lift up and empower. And I'm very grateful to the folks who have done that for me and folks in our community. And many of them are here today.
Yeah, yeah. Morgan, can you talk a little bit about how you've seen support from inside the industry, whether it's people that you work with directly or kind of in a broader sense?
Yeah, I mean, one thing when I tour, I make sure that the venues have gender-neutral bathrooms, and if they don't, I have them change it so that they are gender-neutral. That's something I've seen happening that I love, because I have many fans who identify across the spectrum, and as you said, like, when they come to a space, you know, you want to make sure that they feel like they are home there, you know, and that's a simple thing that I can activate with my team. And if you are here as a part of a team and you are working with somebody who's queer, or just somebody who, you know, honestly, I just wish any human, you know, would do that, make gender neutral bathrooms a thing. It's fine. You know, we were talking a little bit before this, but it's like, I walk into a room as myself, no matter what. I grew up here, and a manager told me I would never make it in music as an openly gay person in Nashville. So what am I gonna do? I'm not gonna change who I am, period. You know, the journey I've taken is the journey that I needed to take, you know? I'm never gonna change who I am, but I walk into a room and I've got painted nails and I sing high, and, you know, it's like, oh, you only exist during June. That's when you come out of the closet, you know? Not true. I'm gay all year long. I'm also human all year long, you know? But if you think about it, when you are going to an event yourself, or if you have an artist and you're creating a concert, the experience starts long before they get to the event. It's every part of it. It's parking. It's, you know, it's walking in. Do they see a rainbow? Do they see like a place to register to vote? You know what I mean? There's huge artists, Olivia Rodrigo, that's, you know, raising money for like abortion centers. Like it is in vogue to speak up. Do you know what I mean? We're working in the best time for that. But yeah, I think if you're an artist out there, you can communicate to your team, like, I mean, I don't know how, I'm never going to sing at the Republican National Convention, okay? My team knows that. You know, I'm not going to accept money from it. There is the thing about, like, you know, artists should be paid for opportunities, but like, my point is, you can communicate to your team what feels important to you, and then as team members, you can help your artist to think outside the box, because not just gay people need to have gender neutral bathrooms at an event. That can be like a thing that happens everywhere. Yeah.
Go for it, Lachi.
Does anyone in here know what month is Disability Pride Month? Yeah, I didn't think so. So Disability Pride Month is in July. So please let everybody on your team and in your life know. So the disability discussion is like eons behind, even though disability has been around for however long the earth has been around. And so it is it's a difficult discussion to have, because folks are afraid of appearing non-competitive, or there's a lot of shame with it, or maybe just folks don't want to talk about it because it reminds them of their mortality. But the truth of the matter is that everyone interfaces with disability at some point, whether it's physical disability, whether it's neurodivergence, whether it is a mental health condition like prolonged depression or OCD or ADD, or you have a family member that does, or your kid does, or you do temporarily. Everyone interfaces with disability. 27% of adults in the US have a registered disability with the CDC, and those are just folks who actually said they have one. And so here I am, a girl that likes to sing about shoes.
With incredible shoes.
Great shoes, by the way.
And, you know, to me, it's so important because it is who I am and it is part of my everyday story. So it's actually not hard to be an activist for disability inclusion and accessibility. What is hard is to get other people to understand and listen and care. Right? Because at the end of the day, everyone's busy. Everybody has their own life and everybody has their own cause. And so it's about, how do I make my story and my physical self part of your story and your physical self? The ways in which I do it is in my writers. I do the best I can to make sure that everywhere I play or speak is as accessible as possible. And by accessible, I don't mean go make a $10,000 elevator, right? I want myself and my team, my fans, and the venue to all be happy with no lawyers involved. Like if a lawyer is involved, somebody messed up. So I don't even know what ADA stands for. That's not what I'm here about. I am here to let folks know that my story, the disability story, is the human story, and that there is nothing wrong with the word disability, or to have a disability, or to be neurodivergent. And I instill that onto every audience that I work with, I speak with, I present to, in the hopes that they can walk away and... I'm not going crazy, right?
Please tell me that's not a cicada.
Is it right?
Did a cicada sneak in?
Oh, okay, got it. Okay, Nashville. But anyway, to conclude, but the reason I say all of this is because from the artist to the fan, to the artist team, to the venue, to the stagehand, to everyone in the full ecology of the music system, we're all seeing the world, right? We all see what's happening. These are like actual facts. We all exist in the same plane, and we all see exactly what is happening. So to be able to plug your ears and go la 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 when you see what is happening is like Morgan said, it's no longer an option anymore. And so through the coffee you drink, to you putting on your shoes, to brushing your teeth, to getting outside, to the music you listen to or create, at every step of the way, it is activism. Because everything that you do, see, hear, encounter, you are the one that supplies meaning to it. And every aspect of that meaning should be making the world just a teeny weensy bit better than yesterday. And so that's why it's easy. So it's a matter of just being able to communicate that ease and giving folks permission to join you in that fight.
Oh, I gotta follow that. You're amazing. Well, yeah, I mean, it is so important to let your team know where you stand and if they align with you. I just recently signed on with new management, and one of the first things that I said to them was, hey, I'm an activist as well. I believe in XYZ. These are the causes I care about. Are we aligned here, or are you on the other side, like severely on the other side? Because if you are, then I'm not interested, and we can just call it a day. And they are on the same page as I am, and the Orchard, I distribute my music through the Orchard. So the fact that they're a part of today is really cool. And just also, I think being in Nashville, there has been a formula that has kind of been used for every artist, especially when you're on a label, like a major label, like I was. And that formula does not include diversity. I mean, I think it's a little better now, but back when in 2012, when I first came to town, it wasn't. And I think I never questioned that. All the way up until 2020, when I started to shift my life and my views and everything. And it really is about being intentional. Your team has to be intentional when you say, hey, I really need a content person to come out on the road with me. Hey, I'm looking for a great music video director. I wanna do more writing sessions. Then the people on your team really trying to make sure that you're building this team and your collaborators and your creative counterparts to be people who are from all walks of life. Because as soon as I started being intentional with that, and for example, I found my band through the Black musicians database, and it was. I felt like, is this transactional? I don't know. I feel weird about this. But then when it happened and I did it and I met them and I saw them play and it was like, well, who cares how it happened? They're amazing and they're my band. And I went out of my way to try and do that. And it feels a little uncomfortable sometimes, but it's what you do. because if we just keep doing the same formula and we just like, it's like a blanket thing for every artist, nothing is going to change. And people only think about the artists sometimes. They don't think about the producers, the music video directors, the mixers, the masters. They don't think about any of that stuff usually. And it's like the people behind the scenes are what make us who we are and what we can do and what we can achieve. So it's been really important to me for that to be a part of the like initial conversations of onboarding for team members. And it's I've seen the result being, you know, now everybody I collaborate with, it's just a very diverse group of people. I feel really good about being out of, you know, the cookie cutter stuff that I did for so long.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's very important to relay that to your team.
You know, I was going to ask Morgan, you had said something backstage that I thought was really interesting about bill bookings and about the diversity of that. I feel like the audience should hear that too.
Yeah, I mean, I think that this is a very diverse lineup of people on the stage. I do want to say and give props. Cassadee is so brave, and I have known her and her story. I'm sorry to call you out, but it's just, you know, what she just said is so, I hear so often, especially from white people who feel guilty that they're just coming to this conversation. And I feel like the more you can sit in the discomfort of it, there's tons of books you can read, but the more you can sit and say, I'm learning, the better off we'll be, rather than being defensive and being like, well, I'm new and I'm white, I have nothing to offer. Like, honestly, you're white, you have tons of privilege and you can use that for diversity. But yeah, the thing that we were talking about backstage, it's very simple, and everyone in this room can be a part of this change happening. But if you go to a pride event and everyone is a white male, leave. Clear. You know, if you go to a women's event and everyone is white women, leave. You know, if you go to, it's just, you know, I'm not going to call out everyone and give every option because I'm learning and I'm, you know, but I am asked to do things as a queer person, and it's like, here's what you say. Thank you so much for this invitation. Do you mind sharing who else will be there? You don't have to say any more than that. You can look at it and then you can decide if that really does fit the bill of being inclusive. And I think that I'm seeing nods because I don't know whether you're artists or you're part of teams, but it's really easy to think about inclusion and diversity and it's really easy to think about this stuff if you are okay to fail and ask questions and learn, because that's what we are all doing, I think.
I think with that in mind I love what you're saying of you know, finding in your sphere of influence, in the directors you call on to, and the makeup artists you do, you know, what is that sphere, almost doing like an audit of the people that you typically call on your network and saying, you know, maybe I should add a few other voices. I think part of it, and this is the part that comes with this taking a risk, you know, I remember even like looking up when I first came here and was like, I want to apply to the CMA, ACM, and all these things. And they put down like kind of all the qualifications, right? These check boxes that sometimes organizations have before you can work with them. And you might have those for yourself of the type of artist that you would have on a bill, or that you would have for a certain opportunity. But then taking a look sometimes at what those check boxes are and how maybe historically there might be some things in play that are a reason that that person might not be able to check those boxes. Like as you're looking for certain, you know, musicians, and let's say you're a country artist, you're like, I want to see that this bass player has done all these country gigs. I've only seen them do these gospel gigs, but then maybe thinking of, oh wait, maybe there's a reason why they haven't been able to check that box, and to then be okay with taking that risk of, you know, of realizing that the cookie cutter thing has only allowed certain people to rise to your sphere, and you might have to you know, take a risk. And there's also the possibility, I remember was talking about this with Holly once with Black Opry. She's like, it is my dream to have so many Black artists that come to want to do country music that some of them aren't good and I have to turn them away. Like, not everybody has to be insanely excellent. And let's say that you do take this risk and you work with someone who might not have been your sphere and it doesn't go well. That doesn't mean, oh, I tried, now let me go back and work with my completely white sphere of people. Like, there also is this risk taking that I think, as artists are encouraged as well to be taking this risk, and the fact that we are up here means we gladly do that. We care so much about the past, care so much about our own activism, the things that to keep ourselves safe, but with the people around us, that we are to take that risk. I would then encourage people that are behind the scenes as well and making some of those calls to do the same.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Thank you. We've just got a few minutes left here, and so I think maybe a nice way to to put a bow on this would be, in the room here we've got other artists, we've got industry folks, we've got people representing a broad range of nonprofits and service groups. They are here to learn as much as they can from you. So if you've got something that you would like to share for either other artists, or if you want the industry to know, or if you would like a nonprofit group to know about how they can work with artists, or just something that that might make their life a little easier, please, choose a lane on that, or pick all three. But anybody, you have any thoughts on that, Julie?
I think, kind of going off of something you said before, of like, this is this time that people want their artists and the companies that they support and work for to be speaking out against the things that they care about. I think I'm part of Gen Z. That is so important to how I can walk around the world and the things that I consume and the people that I support. There is this expectation, but I think something also important and something that people crave is authenticity at this moment in time. And part of that is, just figuring out what feels good. Well, maybe not feels good, because sometimes things are uncomfortable, but what next steps, what next actions feel authentic to you? As an artist, what things you want to talk about that feel authentic to you? Because when you move with authenticity, people see that, but it also feels really good. And I think that there are definitely a lot of artists in this town that haven't been able to, for some reason or not, be their authentic self in the past. And now, there's this growing wave of people that are really supporting and encouraging people as they emerge in their authentic self. So I think the thing that I would leave people with is just to be authentically you. And there might be some people that are mad about it, but you're going to find a whole bunch more people that are going to embrace you with open arms.
Yeah, that's great. We've got 4 artists on stage right now that are doing exactly that. Morgan, what do you think?
I think it's a very collaborative time, across artists, nonprofits, organizations, fellow artists. Like, there's a lot of cross intersectionality that can happen when artists get together and talk about these things. There's an organization, To Write Love on Our Arms, which is a mental health organization that has a very large platform. I have a large platform, but they have a huge one, and they often invite me into like collaborative posts and stuff to amplify both their message, but also what I'm saying. And, while I want to say pay artists, pay artists, pay artists, I also want to say that there's a world in which you can try to create a mutual benefit for everyone working together to make change happen. I, trigger warning, get a lot of messages from youth. That's 1111, Make a Wish. That's who I am. So make a wish. I often get messages from queer people who are on the verge of self-harm and have family that has denied them the right to be who they are. Often, my boyfriend is a therapist. My fiance is a therapist, and I'm not trained as a therapist at all. But To Write Love in Our Arms invited a bunch of us influencers, not just in music, to come and learn about phrases and things that we can say in our DMs to like direct them to resources. Which, if you're a team member that has queer or others, check in with your artists that you work with, because it's like, are you okay? Do you need support? Like, it's amazing that they gave me a toolkit that I can, send, because I hate ignoring things, but it's a full-time job responding to DMs sometimes. And here's a list of resources, and I'm so grateful for that organization to give me a tool to be helpful, because I'm not going to get my master's in therapy. I just make songs, but it's very helpful to be supported like that.
Yeah, that's amazing, and I totally agree. When the DMs flood, it's like, I'm actually here in Nashville songwriting, because y'all know how to do that, apparently. And I haven't been doing sessions, God, it feels so good because I haven't done sessions for 2 years. Because I spent those 2 years building my organization, Ramped, recording artists and music professionals with disabilities. And we work to bring opportunities, connectivity, and visibility to artists and industry professionals and folks navigating the industry with disabilities, neurodivergence, chronic conditions. But then front-facingly, we also work with organizations and nonprofits on music and disability sort of solutions and accessible solutions. So one way you can heavily support disability culture and inclusion in the music industry is to work with Ramped, rampd.org. We're here, we're loud, and we're ready. And again, we're not about compliance and bare minimums. We're about amplifying culture. But the reason I said what I said in the beginning was the fact that even though music has been my life, my mom said I was playing the keys in the womb, even though there's no proof. I spend probably 60 to 80 unpaid hours a week working Ramped because of how much work needs to be done and how little is being done. And so, I was in a session yesterday and tears were coming down my eyes that I finally get to step back from working so hard on something that no one else is really working on to finally do music again. And so that's why I'm saying this from the heart and depth of my bones. Please be intentional. Similar to what you were saying, it's if you have that privilege, all you have to do is just step aside for a second and give someone a little bit of room. That's really not that hard. Or be intentional and say, hey, why don't I check out that website and give a little or just a little bit of time to figuring that out. It's not too much off of you, and it's so much to the person that receives. Thank you.
That's amazing. I can't wait to look that up. Thank you. I think your question was kind of about what organizations and the industry in general can do to help facilitate us staying involved. Is that what you were asking?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Cassie, you've been doing this for a long time, so you got a lot of experience with different organizations, and I think like the rest of you guys, you've got enough experience to share something that'll help either artists or even the organizations that are supporting those artists.
Yeah, for sure. I think what's been really helpful for me anytime I get involved is the willingness to kind of give as much information up front as possible. I know all of us, we're creatives. That's our brain, and that's where a lot of our capacity goes, but it would be so helpful, and I have been very lucky with any organization I work with. I've worked with To Write Love in Our Arms, I've worked with NAACP, and I love everything that Tennessee Holler does, more of a localized movement. I feel like the more information up front, the better. The resources that could be sent right there, then and there, it's so helpful. It kind of makes our lives easier. I know that it's up to us to educate ourselves. I'm not saying like spoon feed us, but it is helpful, and it makes it less daunting to do panels and to speak out when it's time, when we're just getting the bullet points of what the essence of that organization is. So that's really helpful.
Yeah, pragmatic advice. It's the best. Well, I want to thank you, Cassadee, Lachi, Morgan, Julie. I hope you enjoyed your time with us. This has been great. You can find all of these artists at their own channels. If you go to ShowUp_team on Instagram, we'll have links to Ramped and to Lachi and everyone else here. Thank you for taking the time to talk to us. I'm really glad you're here.
Thank you, Matt.